Hello and welcome to my own worst enemy. We're back. We're getting ready to start turn 2 of Don't Tread on Me. But before I start turn 2, there's some clarifications on the first video I want to make, some digital errata, if you will. And the first thing I want to talk about is this game map. I told you that I made this map myself, and I did, because I was not a huge fan of this map, which comes with the game. Well, it was pointed out to me, and we're going to take a field trip here over to White Dog Games. It was pointed out to me over on Board Game Geek by Tim Allen that if you buy Don't Tread on Me now, the current version of the game actually includes this map. And as you can see, this is a much nicer map than the one that came with the original edition. I actually would have been very happy to have this map. This is fine. So I just want you to be aware that you will not get the map that I showed you, which is this one. You will get this much nicer map if you buy this game now. And actually, another point now that I'm on this page, and this is probably where doing an actual physical copy of the game review would be better, because you can't really see the components that come with this. And I believe White Dog Games uses a company called Blue Panther to do their games print on demand. And the counter quality in Don't Tread on Me is really nice. Blue Panther uses a really nice thick counter. I mean, they're almost wooden-like. So you can rest assured that the components you're going to get in Don't Tread on Me are well worth it. Okay, so let's go back to Tabletop Simulator here. The other thing I wanted to point out was there was a rules problem, and this is also pointed out to me on Board Game Geek. There was a mistake, and it happened with our first battle. And what had happened, and I can correct this, and we're going to correct it, and it's not going to be a good correction in favor of the British, but we're going to do it. When we did the battle for the very first battle, the opening shots, I told you that the militia present marker, when we did the exchange, we had an exchange battle result, and when we did that exchange, I told you not to count the militia in strength points for eliminating the winner's strength points, his units. So what had happened is we had a total of 5 of these cause units out, and the one that was in Massachusetts War is one of those 5. We had 5 of those out, and I told you not to count those 3, and they had to eliminate 5 units, and 1 had to remain to take the field. Well, that's not true. It was brought to my attention that in fact you can count the militia units towards those strength points. So what I should have done is I should have said, okay, well the rebels won. They have to eliminate 5 strength points from those British units that we had, and to do that we count these 3. So that would have been 3 points that they've accounted for in that reduction. So they only needed to deduct 2 more strength points. So that would have been only 2 of these cause units would have gone back to the force pool. And these 3 remaining cause units would have remained in the battlefield to control the field. So that's what I should have done, and I just did it. So we should all be good now on that. And thanks for pointing that out. I forget who it was that did on Board Game Geek, but thank you. Unfortunately, it does make New England a lot more daunting for us now. So you have a couple extra cause units to deal with. But that's okay. Hopefully we can deal with them. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was the audio quality of this recording. I am working on that. I'm currently using a kind of a cheapy headset, so I have to apologize. The audio, when I listen to it in playback, it's not too good in my opinion. I sound kind of like I'm in a tin can, and there's a clicking noise that almost sounds like I'm sitting next to a fireplace, which, while that would be very thematic, I'm not sitting next to a fireplace. So I do apologize for the audio quality. Hopefully that'll be improved and I'll have a better microphone. Okay, so turn 2. I'm going to try to go a little faster than I did with turn 1. I will go slowly through the British ground phase this time because we did skip that on turn 1. So I will step through that slowly, as slow as I did last time. But I will try to speed things up, but we'll see how good I am at doing that. I'm also trying to explain this to people who have never played it before, so it may continue to be slow. Alright, so if you'll remember, when we start a turn, and this is turn 2, and we've already moved our turn marker up to show that it's turn 2, And take note that our target state is still New England. So first thing we want to do is receive our money. We go to turn 2 and we look and see that we received 10 pounds this turn. Finally, some money. So we're going to take our marker that shows how much money we currently have, and remember we carried over 3 pounds. We'll add that to the 10 we just received, so we now have 13 pounds we can spend. So let's mark that, and then that's our receive money phase. Now we go to the news phase. So if we look at turn 2, we see that the news says Enlistments expire. And as I mentioned before, all these news events you can find in the rulebook. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn to that page in the rulebook that's going to tell us exactly what we need to be aware of for this turn for the news. This is Enlistments Expire. So if you look at the Enlistments Expire news headline, it tells us Continental troops sign short-term contracts at first. They do not always re-up. So what that's going to mean is when we get into, I believe it's, well, let me look it up here. It's towards the end. It's in the Liberty phase. And the first thing we'll do is check for, we'll have this Enlistments Expire news event happen. And what it's going to mean, we're going to roll a D6, and depending on what we roll, we'll determine whether or not the Continental armies that are out there, whether or not they'll stay on the field or go home to tend to their crops and their families. So that potentially that could be good news for us. We could lose some of these Continental armies. So we just need to make a mental note to ourselves, and we'll be reminded once we get into the Liberty phase that those enlistments do expire. So moving along, go to the smuggler phase. That's where we look at the Caribbean and place smugglers. Well, there are none to place. They're all still out in force along my sea zone. So let's just go right into chasing them out. The next step would be to, I believe, check for the French fleet, but we don't have the French fleet. So we're going to go right into attacking these smugglers. We do have Hal that we can use, and I am definitely going to use him. So remember, we have to pay the cost of the Hal unit, which is 2 pounds. So I'm going to show that we're paying that 2 pounds. We're down from 13 to 11. And I'm now going to take Hal and place him in one of these sea zones that contain smugglers. And I'm going to be quite honest here. You know, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time with the same logic. Remember that Zone 1 connects to the current target state, which is New England for this turn. I'm not too concerned about trying to take New England. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is, in anticipation of New York becoming our new target state, I'm going to try again to take out one of these smugglers in Sea Zone 1. And hopefully we'll reduce the number of Continentals that appear into New England. We do not want them popping out and coming after us. So if you'll remember, you pick one. You can only attack one, so we're just going to choose this guy. And I need to roll a 4 or a less to eliminate him. So let's see what we get. We roll a 5. We roll a 5. I think we did that last time. So unfortunately, that smuggler gets to stay again. And Hal goes back into harbor, and he's done for the turn. So we go on to the next phase, phase 6. Rebase the French fleet. Well, I said we don't have that. We attack the smugglers. We can shadow the French fleet. They're not out there. So let's go right into the British ground phase. This is the phase that we skipped last time. And you'll note that the first thing we check for is winter attrition. This is another thing that could potentially affect the number of Continentals on the map. We do not have to worry about it this turn. If you look at the turn track, and this shows on the game version as well as mine, any turn track that's marked in blue, and I'll show you what the game looks like, any turn track marked in blue, you'll do this winter attrition check. And it's kind of like the Enlistments Expires news phase. You'll do a test on these Continental armies to see if they survive the harsh winter of North America. And there'll be some modifiers that can help them survive that harsh winter, but we don't need to worry about that in turn 3. Turn 5 is probably, well, not probably, it is the first time that we will actually have a check for the winter phase. Step number 2, amnesty. What happens here, amnesty, you take a look at your prisoner of war box, which is currently filled with British, and what would happen for an amnesty if you have 5 or more units. So if we had 5 or more Actually, if we have more than 5 British units, anything above 5 would be eligible for parole in this phase. So if we had 6 British units in the prisoner of war box, we could take one of those units and put it back into the British force pool. He would be given amnesty and allowed to return back into the force pool. Same thing with the rebels. If the rebels had more than 5 units in the prisoner of war box, anything over 5 would go back into their force pool. In this case, we only have 3 British units in the prisoner of war box, so no amnesty for anyone, unfortunately for us. Next step is paroles. Similar to amnesty. What would happen here is if we have British units and rebel units in the prisoner of war box, we can take equal amounts of either and return them to our force available pool. So if we had 2 American units with these 3 British units, we could take those 2 American units, return them to their force pool, and 2 of our British units and return them to the force pool. So the smallest number of equal units in that prisoner of war box would get returned. We do not have that here, so we must move on. And we get into the unit purchase phase. You'll see a note here that says, remember that Hessians must be purchased first. So what that means is when we go to buy units out of this force pool, we must buy all 4 of these Hessians before we can even think about purchasing any of these British units that are in the box. So what I'm going to do, and the cost to buy a unit is on this Gazette. This is also on that nice board that I showed you that comes with the game. In fact, that's where I took this from. It'll tell you how much units cost. So if we go back over here, we look at these Hessian units. They're not a blue band horse. They're not a blue band or white band foot. They're not a gold band horse. They're a foot unit. So they cost £1 each. So to get all 4 of these out, which I'm going to do, to get all 4 of these out and buy them, it's going to cost me £4. So 11, 10, 9, 8. I spent £4, and now I may place these units. But I don't think I'm done spending quite yet. I still have £8. Careful when you do buy these units. I mean, you're tempted to just spend all this money and get all these units out of this box as quick as you can. You may want to hold back some funding, because remember, you will have phases where you can pay for naval transports to move some units around. You can also pay to up the loyalty of some of these states. So you may not want to spend everything on units here. So just keep that in mind. I've got £8 to spend, and I've got some troubled spots. Now, like I said, I don't think I'm going to take back New England this turn. I think I'm going to write that off as a lost cause. I think what I will do, though, is I think I'm going to try to, well, we've got rebel units in Carolina, New York, Pennsylvania. I think what I am going to do is at least try to get New York cleared out, try to get the rebels out of there. So I'm definitely going to need some more units. And if we look, there's these 2 powerful British blue band horse units. Unfortunately, they're £3 each. We have these regular foot soldiers. They're all £1 each. There's no band, so they're all just £1 each. And I've got £8. So that would be 5. So I could buy all 5 of these and 1 of these horse units. That would wipe me out. I don't think I want to do that. I always tend to like to hold back £1 or 2 just in, oops, where are we going? Just in case I need to do a naval transport, or maybe I do want to boost the loyalty of a state. I try to leave £1 or 2. I think I'm going to do that here. I think what I'm going to do is buy all 5 of these foot units. So that will take us down to £3. That's where we started. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Yeah, I am. So, and let's see. That was our purchase. So we go to deployment. Now you can deploy these anywhere you wish. And so, like I said, I want to try to take back Hudson Valley in New York. And to do that, you'll note, if you remember from last time, I said that this was the farm county. So we'll be looking at this number 2 position on the counter strength points. Is 2 strength points for this continental. Fortunately for us, Hudson Valley is a British loyalist stronghold. So that will help us on the militia roll. So when we go to roll for our militia, we'll get to add +1 to our die roll modifier, or to our die roll. So let's see, I'm going to, these are all 2 strength points for farm counties. We have 2 Hessian units up here though that are strength 3. So they'll fight at 3 strength points in farm counties, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to take one of these, and you know what, I'm going to take both of these. I'm going to have the Germans go into the Hudson Valley to take out this rebel Continental Army. Maybe we can knock them out of there. Quaker County, we have 2 rebel units. Now the thing about Quaker County is it's called Quaker County for a reason. There are Quakers in Quaker County. If we fight a battle with in Quaker County with this, what this Quaker icon is telling us is that there will be no calls for militia on either side. So got to keep that in mind, and I don't think that's going to affect us too much. Their strength point total is currently 3 since it is farmland, so let's try to get them out of Quaker County. And looking at the second number on the counters, that's farmland. They're at 3. I'm going to take another of these Hessians and 2 British foot units, and we're going to take these 3 and we're going to go into Quaker County to try to drive out that Continental Army and that Cause unit. And then I still have these units. Well, if we look down in Carolina, we have a Cause unit down there as well. Ooh, that's good. It's a British stronghold. So this is wilderness. So they're at strength point 2 still. And unfortunately, these guys they're not very good in the wilderness battles. They only get 1 strength point. So if I put all 3 in there, it's still not great. It's better than 2 or less, I suppose. But and remember, we must control 2 states in addition to the target state. I realize that doesn't matter too much this turn because I've kind of written off New England, although it is tempting to go up and try to stop what's going on here, because there is a potential for this to boil over into these other states through one of these campaigns that the rebels can go on. And I tell you what, boy, this is a tough one. I'm gonna gamble. I'm gonna take one of these Cause units. You know what? I'm trying to place their units. I'm gonna take one of these. Oh, I've got the Hessian. Yeah, let's do this. Let's put the Hessian here, and I'm going to put a British foot soldier with him. It'd be nice to place their Cause units to fight themselves, wouldn't it? Still have 2 British foot soldiers. Now, one thing you want to look at is we do have this smuggler still feeding into Pennsylvania, so I might want to. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put someone in this around Philadelphia marker. Now, this is interesting because Congress is in session. They are in session. This marker tells you where Congress is currently located. So if there were a battle fought in here and we won, we could actually drive Congress into flight. So let's see what happens. I'm going to put both of these units just in case one of the Continental armies gets raised in the around Philadelphia County. And I believe that's all I can place right now, and it is. So, except for placing their Cause units, that would have been nice. Unit movement. This is where I said, I believe this first unit movement, we can move, now I'm going to check the rules here to make sure I'm getting this right. We can move any British foot or horse unit into any county in the same state at no cost. So as long as they're in the same state, we could move any of our units around. We could move any of these units in the state. I'm not going to do that. It's kind of pointless here because I just placed them where I wanted them. So we're not going to do that. Then you can go into this this next step, forced march. Beware of Lee. Here, anywhere you have a horse unit, you can, not just a horse unit, I'm sorry, it's any unit, and I'm going to double check the rules here because it's any unit in any state. You can pay £1, and this is where I talked about saving your funding, your money. You can pay £1, and it'll remind you Naval Transport up here, to move. Am I getting ahead of myself? No, this is the forced march, so I don't believe you pay in this phase. And I think what happens here is you can move these units, but it'll come at the risk of actually losing the unit. So I'm going to go in here and check. I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to tell you wrong. We already had one thing go wrong with, as you saw last time. And okay, so here we go. British player may now move any ground units by forced march to another state. To do so, we pick up the unit and place it in any desired county on the map. So yeah, this is where we can force troops to move. Well, not any troop. I don't think this applies to the Indian units or the Hessians. Let's see. But basically, you're gonna roll a die, and if say we want to move this British unit up here, we just move him and then roll to see if he survives the forced march up there, and if he does, then he's just there. And if he fails, we lose him, and we don't want that. So I'm looking at the rulebook. You can even do this out of Quebec, it's telling us. And I'm looking, but I thought for sure that this only applied to British units. But I'll have to go back and double check this to make sure that that's right. Well, let's continue on. I rarely do this, that's why I'm having trouble with it. I usually do not. I don't think I've ever forced marched anyone in this game. Could be why I lose a lot, but I've never actually done that. Okay, 8 horse action. So, and this is where they remind us to beware of Lee. What we can do here is we can move any of our horse units to in any state at no cost. So I don't think we have horse units. We could have bought one of the blue band units. We chose not to do that. So right now we really don't have any horse units out there. So we don't have to watch for that. And I'm double checking because I believe this with yep, you can actually do this between states. And where we get the warning with the Lee unit is if there, remember there's a continental unit. One of the continental armies is actually a Lee unit with a horse picture on it. And if he's, let's say we want to move our British unit from Pennsylvania down to Carolina. Well, if Lee is, say, in Virginia, I can't move through him. He stops this this horse movement, this horse action. So you kind of have to remember when he's out there to see if he's going to stop your movement or not. He's not out yet. So well, there he is right there. I forgot. You have seen him. I'm not listening to myself. He is out there. He's in New England, but like I said, we're kind of ignoring that for now. So remember, he's out there. When you move your units, he can stop certain movement actions. Place George Washington. We do not have George Washington yet. Is that true? Let's see. I don't think he's come out yet. He's not. And I think he comes out, and we didn't talk about Boston. I believe he comes out when the British retreat from Boston. So we have yet to see George Washington. And so that's it for this British ground phase. That's what we do. And as you can see, this is kind of where you as the British will choose where you want to fight. And so that's why I chose New York, and we chose Pennsylvania. We're going to try to clear and Carolina. We're going to try to clear these states out as best we can. So then you go right into this battle phase, and the steps are the same as I showed you before, where you'll check for the French and you'll determine the sides, call for militia. So let's do that. And you can pick the order you want to do it in here. I always kind of start at the top. So that was for us New York. So remember, the first thing we need to do, we need to run over here and look at New York and see what its current loyalty is. It's at 8. So our loyalty marker, we'll look at there, it's at 8. That's good. We are going to then let me come back over here. I think I see something that shouldn't be here. Let's delete that. And let's clear all this. So we're at 8. Let's check our counties, and let's get our units moved around first. What we're going to do is take these out of Hudson Valley, and the battle marker goes into the Hudson Valley. And we have 2 Hessians against 1 Continental Army. We look at what type of county this is. So this will be the second number on the counter. It's farmland, and we remember where it's a loyalist stronghold. So we're going to get to add 1 to our militia roll. And since we are at 8, we are going to roll and see what we get. And we roll a 6. Yes. That's good for us, higher better. And of course that if we can't get 7, we can add the 1 to it, but it's 6 as high as we go. So we cross-reference this with our militia table here, and we see that we get 2 militia units show up to help us, and the rebels get 1. So that worked out good. So let's go back, and that's the militias out, and now we just simply add up our strength points. We are the attackers. Remember, we placed the units. This was phase 7, and the British attack in this first phase. We didn't do it the first turn because of the special rules, the news item that we received. So let's add up the attacker strength points. We're in a farmland, so it's 6 plus 2 is 8. I like the sound of that, so we'll type in our little 8. And then we add up the rebel strength points. 2 plus 1 is 3, so 8 divided by 3 is a nice number for us. That's going to put us on this 200% column, and we are going to attack. So we're going to use our red die because I didn't like the way those blue ones were rolling before. And we get a 3, an exchange. Yikes. So an exchange again. I get to do this again, and we'll do it right this time. So we take who had the lowest number of strength points. It was the rebels. They had 3, so he goes to the prisoner of war box. And we now, because they had 3, we had 8, so we must eliminate 3 of our strength points. So remember, this guy was here. I'm sorry, he was actually here. We had we can count these, but it's not going to do us much good here because well, actually it will. We have 2. What am I saying? Boom, we're done. These guys, they hold the field. I was thinking there we were 1 short, but we're not. So these guys will go back to the Hudson Valley, and this is all reset, and I think we're good. So because we won this victory in New York, their loyalty will increase by 1. They're now at 9. We like that, and hopefully it'll stay this way. We now control New York. So moving right along, we go to our next state, and we do have a battle there. So let's go ahead and bring over our battle marker. We'll get these guys over here. They were in Quaker County, and we're going to put the rebels on the rebel side and the British on the British side. So we look, and there's no militia here, so we're not even going to worry about checking for Pennsylvania's loyalty because that Quaker is telling us that no one will show up. Fight your own battles, they're saying. So just see what we got. We go right into battle. Again, we are attacking, so we are attacking in farmland. So it's that second number again, 2, 4, 6. That's all we get, no militia. So we will take the 6, and the rebels are at 3. So well, that's going to be 2 again. So let's attack, and we're going to use the red die again. So let's see what we get. We get a 5. Okay, that is defender eliminated. We like that. So these guys get eliminated. Remember, the cause unit will go back to the force pool because that's where they go when they're eliminated. This rebel army goes into the prisoner of war box because that's where they go. And we'll return everything back to where it was. So we booted the rebels out of Quaker County. And you know what? I forgot about the Congress marker, and I think that might actually have influenced this battle. See, this is the kind of thing you have to be careful of in this game. I will forget certain rules like this. Congress's effect on battles, they kind of sit off there to the side. They're easy to overlook, but let's look at it now. I'm going to look it up in the rules book. I think that column shift should have occurred. Here we go. Rule 871. If a battle takes place in a state where Congress is in the American leadership box, then all battles in that state will be fought with 1 column shift favoring the rebels. So favoring the rebels, that would have pushed the column 1 over to the left. So instead of in the 200 column, Congress would force this battle to take place in this 150. That's better for the rebels. You'll notice that their chances of them being eliminated are much smaller. In this case, we rolled a 5, so it is actually going to save them. So what instead of them being eliminated, they retreat with the option of us pursuing. So let's back up. These guys, you get to come back out, and let's take our guys. Well, we'll leave them here for now. Well, let's take them out. That way I don't get confused more than I am already. So this is a defender retreat with the possibility of us pursuing the winner in this case. So we're going to have to look at the retreat rules, and I'm going to read these to you too because we're trying to learn here. When you retreat, it's done in an order of priority. So we were in Quaker County, so you look up in the rule book. This is 8.10.1 tells you the retreat priority. Units will always retreat one county in the highest priority direction. So the priority list is as follows. So if it's the British unit retreating, and it's not, so we skip that one. Let's go right on to 2. Otherwise, retreat to a county containing only friendly units. So if we look at Pennsylvania, that clearly there's no friendly units to the rebels there, so that's not going to apply. So we look at 3. Otherwise, retreat to an empty county. And this is something that only the rebels can do. So they would retreat to, I guess they would retreat to county number 1 here. So I'm going to make sure this is right again. Yep. So we're going to take these 2 units. So instead of going to the prisoner war box, they're going to go there and try to hide out. Now, since this was a defender retreats with an option for pursuit, we have the chance to pursue here, and I'm going to go back to the rule book again because there's some I want to make sure I get this right too. So we can, I'm just double checking because I want to make sure that there's a British pursuit and a rebel pursuit. So here, rule 8.15.1, British player pursuit. So we may elect to pursue the retreating rebels into the refuge county with any or all of our forces that just won the battle. So we could take one or all to that county. And if we do so, then a new battle is going to be fought in that county. And we will be considered the attacker. We were the attacker last time. The rebels will be the defender. So do I want to do that? I think I do. I do. We want to get to get them out of the county. So we're gonna pursue. We're gonna go into. I'm not even trying to pronounce that. We're going into county number 1. And we're gonna take our units and and we're gonna fight this battle again. So let's put our units back. So you've now chased them all the way into the wilderness. One thing you want to look at here when you do a pursuit, so we're going from a farmland into a wilderness county. That's going to be a little worse for us. Get back out here. Well, it could be a little worse for us. Actually, it's going to be a little bit better. Well, no, it's going to be a little, it will be a little worse for us because we were fighting at 2 strength points in the farmland. These guys are only fighting at 1 strength point. So make sure you want to do this when you pursue. You could end up in a much worse position than you were. I think it's worth the risk here, so we are going to do it. And so now we are attacking. There will be a call for militia here, though, because we are no longer in Quaker County. So we will look at Pennsylvania's loyalty. It's currently at 7. So I'm going to come back over here. We're going to put this on a 7. And we are going to roll for militia. So let's see what we get. A 1. That's not good. We get no 1, they get 2. Well, see, this is not looking good already. Okay, we'll deal with it. Let's clear this, and let's combine up our strength points. We're attacking, so we have, now this is in the wilderness, so it's 1, 2, 5. 5. So we're going to put in a 5. And the rebels are fighting at 2, 4, 6 because they had these militia show up. So it's 5 divided by 6. And it's going to be on the, let's remember round down, so it's going to be on the 65% column. But this gets shifted again. Yeah, this gets shifted again because Congress is in session in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So this will get shifted in favor of the rebels again now because we are attacking, we pursued. It'll go down to the 50% mark for us. So it's better for them, much worse for us. So we're going to attack and see what we get. And we get we get a 1. That's attacker eliminated. Boy, that's not good. So just straight up, these guys go to the prisoner of war box. These guys hold the field. Let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. These guys win the battle. So this comes out, and they are in Pennsylvania still, and Pennsylvania's loyalty will be decreased by 1 because we lost that battle. So Congress is there, so if a battle occurs, just making sure that it does not change the loyalty of this the outcome of this battle. It doesn't, so we're good. And I think that's it for Pennsylvania. Put that back because we are done with that battle. So moving right along, we come down to Virginia. No one there except our loyalists. Finally, Carolina. Well, here's another battle. So let's move this battle marker over. And we're going to move our British units to the battle box and this COS unit to the battle box. Again, we are in a wilderness county with a loyalist stronghold. So let's check Carolina's loyalty. I think it's pretty high, isn't it? Well, it's 7. It's not that high. It's alright. It's already at 7. It could be better. Let's hope that goes up. And we're going to call for our militia. It is in a stronghold, so we will get to add 1 to our roll, and we get we get a 2. Okay, so again, no one shows up for us, and the rebels get 2 militia units. What is going on here? All right, let's go right into battle. We will add up our strength points. We are in the wilderness, so it is 1 plus 3. It's 4, and that's all we get. So we're attacking. We get our 4. The rebels get 2 plus 2 is 4, and 4 divided by 4 better be 100%, and it is. And we fight on the 100% column. That's not so great for us. That should have been better. And we roll for battle. 3. So on a 100% column, that is a attacker retreats. And since we were the attacker, we get to retreat. Now for us, what is that going to mean? Well, we were in Piedmont. And as I told you, there's a priority for retreating. And we just simply go down the rule, look at the rules, 8.10.1. It tells you, number 1, if a British player is retreating and the French fleet is present, no, that doesn't apply to us. Go to number 2. Retreat to a county containing only friendly units. Well, there's not another county in Carolina with friendly British units, so we have to skip that. Number 3, retreat to an empty county. Well, there are empty counties, but that only applies if you're a rebel unit, so we don't get to do that. Otherwise, retreat to a county containing units of both sides and fight the battle there. Well, that doesn't apply to us because all the other counties are empty. And then it tells us finally, if a unit is unable to retreat, then it must be eliminated. So that's what happens here. We have nowhere to retreat, no valid county that we can retreat to, so we must eliminate these 2 British units. And that prisoner of war box is looking mighty full. That's not good. Okay. And we'll put this COS unit, he gets to stay in Piedmont. We'll put him in Piedmont. We will reset all of our militia units, and I think we are done with that phase of the game. I believe if this battle phase has ended. We've done all this. We go to the place rebel phase. Yikes. This is not what I was hoping for at all. This is not, kind of wishing I hadn't that error hadn't been pointed out up in New England. No, we really don't need more units up there, but whatever. Okay, so the placed rebel phase. What's going to happen, you remember from last time, if we start with our form committees of safety, and to do that, we're going to take one of these cause units is going to come out into the game. We're going to roll to see where he goes. On a 1 to 5, he's going to go to a state. If we roll a 6, 2 will go into the target state. We rolled a 2. So he's going to go in somewhere into New York here. So let's see what county he goes into. 4. And see, this is bad because I just cleaned New York out of all the rebels. And you can see what happens when you do that. So going back, did I do that right? We formed our committees of safety. We did do that right. Okay, so clear that. And now we're going to deploy Continental armies. And if you'll remember, we'll roll this die again. We roll a 6. That just means we start in C-Zone 6, and we will place the Continentals randomly into counties of states that contain smuggler units. Well, this one does not contain any smugglers, so we go right back around to C-Zone 1, which connects to the target state, which in this case is still New England. So if we're going to pull two random Continentals, 1, 2, and place them randomly inside New England. First one's going to go to looks like there's a big party going on up here in county number 4, 5. And then we're going to see where the other one goes. Oh, well, he's going to go into county number 2. Then we move it down to the next, and of course 2 more random rebel units come out. These will get placed also in New England because C-Zone 2 connects to New England, so the first one's going to go into 2. So we got a stack forming here. This next one's going to go to 4, which is here. And then we move down to the next C-Zone. Nobody in C-Zone 3. Go down to C-Zone 4. Well, there is a smuggler there, so we pull another Continental. And we see where he goes. 5. County 5. Well, that's in our Hampton Roads area, so he goes here. No, oops, almost did it again. Wrong state. He goes into New Jersey. And we continue on. We've wrapped, well, there's no one in C-Zone 5. We wrap around to 6 where we started, so we're done placing the Continentals. And we would move George Washington here if he were out. We would turn Benedict Arnold if he were in the game, but he's not. And we go right into our second battle phase. So again, and we'll start up here in New England where there is a mass of rebels, but no British units, so no battles. Second, we go to New York. Well, there are units of opposing sides in New York, but they're not in the same county, so no battle in New York. And we will come down to Pennsylvania. Lots of Continentals in Pennsylvania, but there are no counties where there are units from each side in, so moving down. Only the loyalist unit in Virginia, so nothing there. And then, of course, the lonely cause unit in Carolina, no battles there. So we skip that battle phase. Reconvene Congress, they're not in flight. And now we go into the rebel campaign phase, which has the potential to be very, very scary with all these units that are on the board. So, okay, the rebel campaign phase, this is where we roll, and I'm going to get my notes out here to make it easier for me. We roll 2 of these D6s, and we're going to see if we get 2 minors or 1 major campaign. So let's get that extra die in this. And we roll a 2 and a 3, so we're going to have 2 minor campaigns. And I'm going to mark them 2 and 3, right? Yep, so 2 and 3. All right, so we're going to start with the first minor campaign in, I'm looking at this again, and so you have to watch yourself. That really should be, it's state 2 and 3, and this is state 3. This is state 2. not Boston. So we want to place our reinforcements. And since this is a minor campaign, the rulebook tells you that you will place one randomly selected continental army in the lower number state and a cause unit in the higher number state. So we're going to take a random continental. Remember, I shuffled those, so they're already random, and a cause unit, and this is going to go into the higher number state, which was Pennsylvania, and this one's going to New York. So we want to see where they are going inside each state, and this also has a priority order. We start with number 1. It will go into the lowest number rebel occupied county, and well, we do have a cause unit, so that would go here. So that's the lowest number rebel occupied county. And the next step says, then move any rebel forces in a higher number county in that state to that county. So if we had, and we don't, but if we had rebel units in higher counties, they would come down to help fight in this county, but that's not the case. So that's where he's going to go. And then I believe the placement is the same for I believe what I'm looking for here is whether or not that Continental gets placed the same way. I'm pretty sure it does, but I'm also looking at the order of the now we're still placing, so we don't have to worry about the battle yet. So that is where he gets placed. This Continental, or did I just place the Continental? I did. So we're placing the cause unit now. So let's start back at where this goes. I don't know, I'm having such a hard problem with this today, but I am. Bear with me. It's been a strange day. I actually hadn't planned on recording this today, but I had some time, so I thought I would get it in. And I apologize for the audio quality and the quality of, of my narration here. I promise you, as I do this, it will improve. So we are looking at placing this cause unit. The reinforcements are the same. We start in the lowest number rebel occupied county. So for Pennsylvania, that's going to be the number 1 county. There were rebel units there, so he gets to join them. Now it says move any rebel forces in higher number counties in that state to that county. So we do have a continental unit in a higher number state. He's going to get to come back here. So he's going to join this minor campaign, and that takes care of placement. And we move on to the minor campaign. So let's go back up to New York. It says, you have 2 options here. Does the state contain British units, or does it not contain British units? Well, New York, it does contain British units. We have an Indian unit in the lower county, and we have some Hessians up in the higher number county. So we look at the rules for British players in the state. So what happens here? The rebels will launch a minor campaign against a British player there. And again, here we go with the attack protocol. So this will tell us which British unit will attack, because we do have 2 here. So we start with number 1. Attack British units already in the same county. Well, for New York, there are none currently located in the Hudson Highlands, so we skip on to 2. Attack the nearest British forces to the left, which would be the lower number. And so that we do have that. So this Indian unit can come back to here. They'll march down to the frontier, and they will attack that Indian unit. So let's do that. We look at New York's loyalty, and it is currently at a 9. That's not bad for us. Well, I say that, and I'll roll a 1. I'll roll a 1, so we'll see. Let's move our battle marker up here to show that it's occurring in the frontier. We'll bring out our Mohawk unit, and we will call for militia. So we're at, I said 9, right? So we do get, it is a stronghold, so we do get to add 1 to this roll. Let's clear this and roll. So 3, 4. 9, so we're on the 4 column. It's 2 and 2. Could have been worse. And so we add up, here it is the rebels attacking. So they are the attackers. The county was wilderness. No other special things to consider here. So in the wilderness, it's that first strength point number. So 2, 4, 6. So they get a 6. They're attacking. And we are defending. We have 3 plus 2, 5. So 6 divided by 5 gives us our percentage. It's going to put us on that 100% table again. No column shifts, so we go right to battle, and they are attacking us. And they roll a 1. That's good news for us. Attacker eliminated. So their cause unit goes back to the force pool. The Continental Army goes into the prisoner of war box. And battle marker comes back. Mohawk unit goes back into the wilderness. We reset these, and we have a loyalty increase in New York of 1 because we won the battle. And I think we're good. Clear that, and that's the end of the battle, the minor campaign in New York. That worked out good for us. Now we go to Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania does have British units in it. So let's go back to our rule book, because this is going to tell us again the which way these units are going to go. And honestly, instead of using the rule book, I'm going to use my notes, because I have I made up a when I first started learning this game, I did my own little walkthrough sheet, and that's really why I'm stumbling over a lot of this. I'm not used to going back to the rule book. I'm trying to explain these things so that you understand. I hope I'm not muddying the waters more than clearing them up. If you have any questions, again, please go down to the comments section and ask them, or come over to Armchair Dragoons and join and ask in there. I will definitely help you. If I don't, someone else will, but I guarantee you, if you post in there, I'm going to respond. Okay, so the minor campaign. So this state does have a British unit, so you look at that option. And again, it's the priority of attack British units already in the same county. No. So number 2, attack the nearest British forces to the left, lower number county. Well, he's in the lowest number county, so he can't go left anyway. 3 says attack the nearest British forces to the right, the next higher number county. Well, that can occur. So they're going to march into the around Philadelphia County. Now, if you're observing and paying attention to what I've mumbled through so far, Congress is in session in Pennsylvania. There's the congressional marker. So if we win this battle, there's a chance we could push Congress into flight, and that would be good news for us. But let's not get our hopes up. Let's move these markers out of the way, because we're done with this. Will conclude our minor campaigns, I hope. So we are in Pennsylvania. We're not in the Quaker County, so we do get a militia call. Pennsylvania is currently at 6. So remember, we're at 6 on the militia table. It is a loyalist stronghold, so we'll get to add that +1 to our die roll. So let's see what we get. A 4 plus 1 is 5, so I think that's good for us. We look and it's 2-2. Well, it could be better, but I'm not going to complain. That's good. We'll take that. And we now move. I should have done this first, but let's get our British units onto the battlefield. The Continentals and their cause unit. Continentals. Oh goodness, I didn't realize there were 3 in there, but there are. So here's our battle. Remember, they are attacking. They are the attackers. So it is in, that's a city/fort county. We will be rolling on the number 3 position for strength points. So they're the attackers. So that's 2, 4, 6 plus 1, 7 plus 2 more. That's 9. So they're attacking at 9. And we are at 6. Plus 2 is 8. So we're at 8. So it's simply 9 divided by 8 to get our percentage of, be on that 100% column again, because remember, you always round down. So we are going to roll, and they are attacking, so they'll get to roll on the 100% column of this combat results chart, and the 4 is rolled. That is an exchange. we are getting a lot of exchanges here. So they had the higher number of strength points, so they win the battle. So therefore we must eliminate, and they had how many? I think I said 9, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have to eliminate 9 strength points. So that's going to be awfully hard to do. So that's going to save us 2. Well, now we have to eliminate 7 strength points. So, am I doing this backwards? See, I'm doing this backwards. We lost. We're eliminated. So we don't eliminate anything except ourselves. Yeah, we had 8 to their 9. So they have to eliminate 8 strength points because they won, but they must eliminate the same number of strength points that we had. So they were at 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they must get rid of 8. So this is where the militia does count. So 6. Now they have to get rid of 6 strength points with the weakest unit remaining. And I think the only thing they can do, this was in the fort. So we're looking at this third number, 2, 4, 6. It's going to have to be these Continentals. So they're going to have to eliminate these. And they're going to all go into this prisoner of war box. Because that's 6 strength points. They can't leave the battlefield empty, so their lowest unit gets to remain even though they didn't quite meet the number they were shooting for. So the cause unit will get to stay in the around Philadelphia area. And I just realized we rolled a 4. This should have been shifted because this was in favor of, and actually am I going the right way? So this was in favor of the rebels. Should have been shifted this way because they were the attackers, correct. So we rolled a 4. It's not going to change anything, but Congress was in session in this state, so that did have an influence on the battle outcome. Doesn't matter, outcome was the same. The cause unit holds the number 2 county in Pennsylvania. We reset all this, and the loyalty in Pennsylvania is going to drop because we lost that battle. And we put everything back. I think we're good there. Okay. And that's it. That's the minor campaigns. We are now moving on to the logistics phase. I feel like I forgot something. I'm having a hard time with this today, guys. I apologize. I think we're good. I think that was it, the 2 minor campaigns. So, logistics phase. This is where we can do trading with the enemy. Well, I don't think we have anybody left to trade, and we don't. There are no lobster units anywhere on the board. And as if you remember, if we had a lobster unit in a state, we could pay to raise that state's loyalty in our favor, but we don't. So we go to the second part of this phase, which is Naval Transport, and here we can pay to have a unit moved. I'm not going to do it because honestly there's nobody to move, and I wouldn't move them if I could, so we're going to skip that. And then we go down to Naval Reset, and that's where we move all of our in-harbor units back out to sea. So Hal's going to come back out. He'll be available for the next turn. So we move on to the Liberty phase. And this is turn 2. If you remember from the news phase, this is where Continental Enlistments expire. And this is a news item. And I'm going to flip through the rule book again. This is Rule 13.1. I'm going to read this real quick. What this means is on turns 2 and 4, and we're in turn 2, all Continentals on the map must roll to see if their soldiers sign on or go home. And there's a lot of Continentals on the map, so there's going to be a lot of rolling here. And on a roll of 1 to 4, the unit is placed in the rebel force pool. So if we roll a 1 or 4, oh, I'm sorry, a 1 or 4. If we roll 1 through 4, that'll send them back down to this their force pool, and they will be removed from the game for now. Otherwise, they get to stay. Now, there are some things that will influence the die roll, and one of the things is Congress being in the county. So I'm just going to read this to you also. This is things that will help keep the Continentals from going home. If Washington is in the state, he's not, but if Washington were in the state on a 1 to 3, they would go home. There would be a better chance of them staying on the field. So remember that. And I think that's only, I thought Congress, I thought there were some other things here that would influence that, but apparently not. It's just where George Washington is located. So I think I'm thinking of winter. That's why I'm pausing again. The rules are getting muddled in my head. There will be some other factors. George Washington will influence the outcome of a winter attrition check, and there are some other factors that will check winter attrition. But in this enlistments expire, it's only George Washington. Don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go through each of these continentals, and our roll of 1 through 4, we'll take them and place them back into the American force pool. So let's start with this lowest county. We have 3 continentals. We'll just start up here with this top one and see what he decides to do. So he will go home, which is good news for us. For now, let's just put him here. We'll look at the second one, see what he decides to do. He will go home. This is good. This third one, he will also go home. Excellent. And then let's look in here. These are all cause units, I believe. But there are 2 continentals. We'll start with the top one. We'll see what he decides to do. Well, he's going to stay put. And this second one, let's see what he decides to do. He's going to go home. Excellent. And then this final county, we have 2 continentals. We'll see what the first one's going to do. He is going to go home. Awesome. And then finally the Lee unit. Let's hope he goes home. He is he is going to go home. So, was there one under Lee? I believe there was. Let's see what he decides to do. He's also going to go home. Awesome. So you can see that's pretty powerful. New England was just filled with continentals, but because of this, enlistments expiring, they're packing up. They're going to go home. They've got crops to tend to. They can't stay and fight this war. They're all going to go back in here. Good, 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 good. Are there any more continentals? There are in the prisoner of war box, but I do not believe this applies to armies in the prisoner of war box. That's an interesting question. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I'm going to look at the rules quickly. I don't think it even says do not rule for cause units. Yeah, no, they're in jail. They can't go home anyway, right? They're locked up. How are they going to go home and tend to their crops? Please. All right. So that was this enlistments expire, and again, that only gets done on 2 and 4. I wish it happened more often, but it doesn't. That was a nice cleansing of New England. That was actually really, really nice. Okay, so we come down to number 2, determine, okay, well, this is the victory check, basically, where we must control the target state and 2 other states to prevent the Liberty Bell from rising. Well, target state was New England. While it did get cleaned out, no thanks to us, we don't control it, so game over, at least. Like I said, once you realize you don't hold the target state, these other state checks don't matter. But just for fun, we do not control New York. Well, we do. I'm sorry. There are no British units in there. I say there are no British units. I do know that when you're checking certain items, Indians and Hessian units will not have an influence over this. I believe that we are considered to be in control of New York. I'll double check that in a second. Pennsylvania is in rebel hands. Virginia is in our hands, and Carolina is in rebel hands. And the reason we're going to have to check this anyway is because we're going to have to check state loyalty changes, and I think that happens now, and it does. So if we come down to number 3, we now check for loyalty changes, and this might be where, when it says a British unit holds on to a state, that it must be a specific type. And yeah, here it says if Indians and or Hessians are in a state, reduce that state's loyalty by 1. But that's an additional step. As far as controlled goes, it refers us to 13.3, and that states that to control a state, we must have only British units in it. And for control purposes, British and Loyalist units all count for control. Hessians and Indians do not. So we do not control New York because there are no British units in it. So let's do our state modification check. New York is all rebel, so its loyalty will decrease by 1. As we just found out, we do not control New York. Hessians do not count for this, or Indians. Fortunately, there are no rebel units in New York, so it'll remain unchanged. Pennsylvania, the rebels control Pennsylvania, so its loyalty will decrease by 1. They're down to 4. Virginia is in our hands, so loyalty will increase. So we'll move them up to a 7. And then Carolina is in rebel hands, so it will decrease by 1, down to 6. And I can tell you the last game I played went a lot better. The last game I played, there were a lot more, I think Carolina was maxed out, and Virginia as well. This is not looking too good, but that's okay. So that was our state loyalty modification check. Determine control of Quebec, and it's still in our hands. That's good. And then we check for victory or defeat. Well, remember, I didn't move this up yet. We'll move it up now. The Liberty Bell does increase by 1 because we do not control that target state plus 2 other states. So we're now at 2 on the Liberty Bell meter, slowly ratcheting up towards that number 9 mark, which we do not want to get to, but we'll try to stop it. And that will take us to the random events phase. And if you remember, there was a table up here where we rolled, I think we rolled the 6, where we got just a slew of events, and we'll do this again. It's possible you can roll the same event twice, and who knows, maybe we will. Let's see what happens here. We roll a 1. So, invasion of Quebec. Now this is an interesting one, and now once we go through this invasion of Quebec, we'll start rolling 2 die on this table. And then once the French get involved, it'll be 3. So this will change that at least. We'll from now on roll 2 dice when we roll this events table. But for now, we go to the invasion of Quebec. Okay, this is good because we get to see what happens when Quebec is invaded. And I'm going to pull out the rule book for this to make sure I get this right again. This happens, and the Liberty phase will tell you how to handle this. And I'm going to tell you the exact rule number. Where is it? Where is it? The invasion of Quebec tells us to refer to 14.3. And like I said, it's the rule book. I haven't looked at the rule book in a while because you get to a point where you play this game so many times and it becomes second nature. And if you're not having to explain it or teach it like I am, you kind of get into a rhythm and just fly through this game, which is another reason why I kind of like it. But I don't mind taking you guys through this. I just hope you don't mind me having to look these rules up and pause as much as I do. I apologize. Okay, so here we go. The invasion of Quebec. The province of Quebec is a special state-like region to the left of New York, and it is a farm loyal territory. So you can tell that it tells us because it shows a special, it's not really a state, so it's just showing a little graphic here that we're not familiar with as far as terrain goes. So it tells us farm. We're in a farm territory. Loyalty is not measured for Quebec. There's no militia. It's like if we were taking place in Quaker County. There's no militia call here. It is strictly what you get. So what happens when we have an invasion here? Well, let's go to step 1. We're going to roll 1d6 and determine the number of continentals invading. So, and I believe, and this is really why it was a good thing that all those continentals decided to go home, because I think where we're picking these continentals from is New England. If you remember, there were quite a few of continentals in New England before we had this event. So we roll 1d6. The British player then takes those continentals units, and the d6 is going to tell us how many these units are invading. So we'll take those continentals off of the map, beginning in the lowest numbered county of New England and moving down the map in numerical order. These units are said to be invading Quebec. So let's roll and see what we get. how many Continentals are three Continentals, and I don't think we have 3 Continentals because they all went home, right? Well, the ones that weren't in prison. So we only have 1 Continental Army that can do this. So this tells us if there are insufficient units to match the die roll, you simply move on as available. That's certainly the case here. We only have 1. So now what's going to happen is this Continental is going to march to Quebec. Now he may not survive. So we're going to roll now to see if he survives the march all the way to Quebec. And on a roll of 1 to 3, he's going to desert, surrender, die, it says, smallpox, kills him, whatever happens, he's not going to make it, and he's going to be eliminated from the game. On a roll of 4 to 6, he successfully reaches Quebec. So let's hope he rolls a 3 or less. And he rolls a 4. Well, okay. So he reaches Quebec. And that's not good for us because that means there's going to be an invasion. He's going to fight, it's a normal battle without militia, with the rebels being an attacker. If they retreat, they'll go back to New York, the lower county. So let's see what happens. Let's move down to the battle box. We'll put the Continental, and then we have these 2 British units. No militia, remember it tells us no militia. It's just a straight battle with the rebels attacking. And I'll put that up there to remind us what's going on, but we know it's Quebec, right? Farm County, he's attacking, so he's got 2 strength points divided by, for us it's 6. I tell you what, if we lose this one, it's so you can't get any lower than 50%. Well, you can. We're on the lower than 50% marker, but it's not good for them. Best they can hope for is an exchange, but we're hoping they roll a 1 or a 2 here. So they attack, and they roll a, oh, I thought the 2 was going to come up, but he rolled a 3. Oh, I didn't see that. Doesn't matter. He rolls an elimination anyway. So because, where'd he go? Because this was a battle and he was eliminated totally, he goes into the prisoner of war box. Squinch over here. We've got, that's looking better. I'm seeing some Continentals in there now. So we won the Battle of Quebec. There's no loyalty to change here. We just celebrate the fact that we did not lose Quebec, because that bad things can happen. If you lose Quebec, you can cause that Liberty Bell to advance twice in a turn, and we don't want that. We maintain control of Quebec. And that's it. That was the invasion of Quebec. And I believe there's one more event. It reads, Ship of the Lines Sent Abroad. I don't like this one, but again, I don't think it's going to apply here because we only have 1 ship. But then again, I can't. There's one that involves a strength 3 ship and one that involves a 4. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think this does involve HAL. So this might be bad. Let me look this up in the rule book. I am looking under the specific events list, rules 15.0, and I think it told us there wasn't frigates diverted. See, that's what I was thinking. This is ships of the line sent abroad. One of the 4-strength British naval units is moved to the in-harbor box and cannot be used the next turn since it's busy fighting the French, Dutch, the Spanish, or some other global threat. Well, bad news. So he is going to go into the in-harbor box. That was not a good event for us because I really, as you can tell, these smugglers are getting out of hand. Not good, not good. So that's it for the random events phase. And that brings us to the end of this turn, the end of turn 2. Advance the game marker. We'll be at turn 3. Return this marker, my custom-made marker, to start the new turn. And we will not do that now. We're going to stop here. I feel like if I go on, the quality of this recording is going to get worse and worse, and I'm going to keep stumbling and forgetting rules, and I don't want that. I want to give you guys make a good video as I can as possible. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below, or head on over to armchairdragoons.com. Join the forums. They're awesome. There's an awesome war game forum, and I would be happy to answer questions there. Or if you're on Board Game Geek, I frequently check Board Game Geek for all kinds of things. That's where I found the comments on the board and my rules error, so I'll be checking that again, and I really appreciate you guys letting me know what I do wrong. And I look forward to seeing you next time.